How you doing, everyone, and welcome to another episode of trying to make sense of the world. This is episode 4. I'm going to get into some wrestling news, but this is wrestling related. But I wanted to get into this, and I felt the need to say this first. If you listen to a wrestling podcasting, you know about the Don Tony Kevin Castle show. You know about Wrestling Soup. So you would have known about the unfortunate passing of Kevin Castle and Scondotto. He passed away Monday afternoon. This Monday afternoon, the Monday gone, and I just want to. This is going to be quick. I started listening to wrestling podcasts. This would have been around January 2010. I think this is when Bret Hart went back to WWE for that brief time, with Voice feud with Vince, and that was when I was introduced to Kevin Castle. I became a fan of his personally because, yeah, he had his opinions, but his viewpoints were level-headed, and the perfect example of this was the Netflix debut of WWE, and and you know when Hogan got booed, and the the notion was, oh, because Hogan's a Republican, and he likes Trump, when that was not the reason. And he was saying he was probably one of the few that was he was saying the reason Hogan got booed was because of all the racist bullshit he said years ago, but it's all caught up to him. He's never apologized for it, and he's never tried to redeem himself. Um, that's a typical example of what I liked about Kevin Castle, though, because while he had his views, just like I said, he was level headed, and I just wanna say that he's gonna be missed when it comes to wrestling podcasts. So rest in peace, Kevin Castle. All right, I'm gonna get into the first piece of wrestling news, and last week on SmackDown, you know about the segment between Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton. Personally, I've seen it, and I kind of thought it was a mess, to be honest. It kind of didn't. I'm not really bothered about this match when it comes to WrestleMania. To be honest, I'm gonna watch WrestleMania, but this is one of them matches where I'm like, im- I don't. It's gonna be good, but I don't think it's gonna be good as it could have been, because um, I will say this: Charlotte Flair is doing her job well as being the heel, because she's gonna have to be the heel, because as soon as she came back, and I don't really like Charlotte Flair, but I will say she's doing her job well as being a heel, because she has to be the heel in this. Tiffany Stratton has to be the babyface, which is what's happening, right? And and obviously she's got boots, so they were the only way to go with Charlotte Flair, where she won the Royal Rumble, was to make her a heel. Anyway, apparently there's details about the messy segment between Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton. I'm reading from Wrestling Inc., so here we go. Um, WWE Women's Champion Tiffany Stratton is set to defend her title against Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania 41, and the two women have traded some nasty jibes during the build-up. I wouldn't say they were nasty, and I wouldn't say they were unscripted as well. The fact is, they both knew what was going to be said. Triple H knew what was going to be said at that point, because the thing is, all the shit that Tiffany Stratton was saying to Charlotte Flair, why was Charlotte Flair just standing there, not saying anything and letting her talk? That's what I'm saying. It's all about the feud. It's about building up the feud for for the WrestleMania match, including a reportedly unscripted exchange during a promo battle on last week's WWE SmackDown. Now a new report from, oh god, the fuck-turd himself, Dave Meltzer, in the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, provides more details on the potential backstage beef. Meltzer's sources, all when they say sources, all it is just WWE feeding him bullshit, and he believes that it's true. That's all it is. Claimed Stratton and Flair have had issues for weeks, dating back to a dual cam interview segment in which the feeling was that Flair steamrolled Stratton and made her look bad. Last week's segment, well, the things I just want to say, I think that was taped, I think it was. If that was taped, WWE could have easily edited that dual cam interview. They easily could have, but they kept it the way it was. So basically, that was their fault. Um, Last week's segment, Meltzer said, was intended as retaliation for Stratton, which is why she'd been given lines taking shots at Ric Flair and Charlotte's failed volleyball career. But while Meltzer's report says that virtually the entire promo went as scripted, he was also told of several unscripted moments, including Flair's mockery of Stratton's high-pitched voice, Stratton's mention of Flair's 3 divorces. The thing is, the day before, I think it was, or earlier in the day, Charlotte Flair did an interview about her divorce anyway, so I don't see what the hell all this is about. Um, it was public knowledge, and Flair's final time about Stratton's real life boyfriend Ludwig Kaiser. Furthermore, Stratton calling Flair a Nepo baby was reportedly in the script, but Flair's retort that she was in fact a Nepo queen was not. One source told Meltzer that Flair has been trying to rattle Stratton in the same way that John Cena or Randy Orton have been known to do with younger talent, but also that Charlotte has fucked this whole program by not adjusting, referring to Flair initially returning as a babyface before reluctantly turning heel in response to backlash from fans. Another source acknowledged that the SmackDown promo went off the rails when Charlotte let the fans get to her. What happened was she knew the fans were not gonna shut up, so what did she do? She let the fans just carry on say what they're gonna say because she's just like I said, she's the heel in all this. And to be honest, I've seen way worse and way worse stuff than this in the past in wrestling feuds. This was nothing compared to the Attitude Era. This was nothing compared to ECW. So they didn't go off scripted. This went off exactly the way it was supposed to. It's all about the build up. That's all it was. And the thing is, it worked because everyone's talking about this and they're talking about their WrestleMania match. So job well done by Triple H and both of them too. So I'm gonna get into the next wrestling piece of news, and uh, and dickhead again, Dave Meltzer assesses potential of WWE return for AEW's Chris Jericho. And Chris Jericho has been a staple of the AEW wrestlers since the roster, since the company formed 6 years ago. And after losing his ROH World Championship to Bandido at Dynasty, he seems to be taking a break from wrestling. However, 2025 will be an interesting year for the former AEW World Champion, as the fresh contract he signed back in 2022 to stay with the company expires in December, and following recent comments stating that he would be open to returning to WWE one day, Dave Meltzer has revealed what he thinks Jericho should do in the latest edition of Wrestling Observer newsletter. He says, to put it simply, unless the money offered by AEW is far greater than what WWE could offer him, or if he has some personal loyalty to AEW due to being there from the beginning, Meltzer believes that Jericho should go back to WWE. He sees Jericho fighting a fight that he can't win with the fans who have already expressed how much they don't want to see him, which is the same thing that they did to Cody Rhodes, to a lesser extent CM Punk and the Young Bucks. Well, the thing is, this is the thing. We know what the AEW loyalists. We know what they're like. What happened? The whole CM Punk thing was not CM Punk's fault. It clearly was not. That was management's fault, and it was the roster's fault. That's what it was. Management didn't step in. Well, Tony Khan didn't step in and be a boss. That was what happened. It shouldn't have never gotten to that point. And the thing with Cody Rhodes was, it's clear Cody Rhodes had a serious problem with the creative at AEW, and that's why he left. It's clearly obvious. Obviously, we're not going to know, but it's like it wasn't going to be a money issue. But with the with the former two achieving more success in WWE than ever before. What's more, he will get reactions from the fans as Meltzer believes that there's nothing WWE fans like seeing more than the AEW jumping to their side of the battle. Meltzer thinks that Tony Khan has a personal loyalty to Jericho as he was in AEW at the beginning, and given the money he can offer, the creative freedom on TV and leniency towards allowing people to pursue outside projects, AEW will have more than a fighting chance of keeping Jericho. With that said, WWE's schedule is a lot lighter with no live events, and he will likely be inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame immediately. So there's every chance Jericho could weigh up his options at the end of the year. I'll tell you this now: WWE is not having Jericho back. He's too old. And what the hell is he going to offer to them at this point? Who is he going to feud with? On where people are going to be like, yo, I really want to see that match. Damian Priest. What the hell is he going to be able to offer Damian Priest at this point? Seriously. Jericho might as well just stay at AEW and just milk every single penny he can get out of Tony Khan, because he could just re-sign with AEW, to be honest. So he's WWE's never gonna want him back. They're just not gonna want him. He's taken way too many shots on them, and he's also said that their Hall of Fame is jack shit anyway. So what would be the point of WWE having him back for if he took shots like that ever since? Anyway, the next one, the next piece of wrestling news, AEW star Swerve Strickland discusses being bullshitted around WWE Performance Center. To be honest, he really comes across as someone who thinks who thought he was more than he actually is, to be honest. And the shit that he said about Booker T on Booker T as well. And I think it was on Collision or something, and when at the very end of the show he said fuck Booker T, and when it had the reverse effect, because no one was talking about AEW, everyone was talking about the fact that he got mentioned on AEW, and even Booker T said it didn't work because everyone was talking about him instead, on where he should have been putting the company over. Anyway, AEW star Swerve Strickland has recalled a moment that left him exasperated during his time in WWE after putting on a great match for the main event for the main roster audience. Strickland recently spoke on Vlad TV. Very first problem, he should have never gone on Vlad TV, because if anything, him going on Vlad TV just made him more of a fool, and obviously Vlad did that on purpose. He made him look like a fucking idiot. He did that on purpose. That interview was done for all the wrong reasons, and look what ended up happening as well. About a match he had with Drew Gulak on 205 Live, which was filmed after an episode of WWE SmackDown. He remembered the match getting praise from the crowd and those at the back, but wasn't widely appreciated by those in WWE's Performance Center. The one day I knew I was getting like bullshitted around the PC was when I was there for like 3 or 4 months, and I got called to do 205 Live against Drew Gulak, who had the Cruiserweight Championship, he recalled. We were the last one, so we had to go there. We had to go last that night in Miami. After you'd seen all the stars, it was me and Drew. Like, we went 18 minutes in the ring straight for the Cruiserweight Championship. Everybody's on their feet going crazy. I have Swerve's house signs like going after Roman Reigns. I have Swerve house signs. They're not chanting "This is awesome." They're chanting "Let's go Swerve." They're actually rooting for me to win this title. I end up losing to Drew Gulak, and got great praise in the back from Charlotte, Bailey, Kofi, like all giving me crazy praise. Like Small Joe, everybody's giving me crazy praise. After the match, which happened a few months after Strickland joined WWE, he was asked to do something in the PC which confused and angered him. While fans loved the match they put on, those at the WWE's Performance Center felt Strickland needed to improve, which is a sentiment he did not agree with. That's what I'm saying. Since he's a rookie and he says that he felt he didn't need to improve. Bad mistake, man. You're still a rookie, man. Don't be saying that shit. Uh, I come came I come back to the PC. They're trying to teach you arm drags again. I'm like, get the fuck out of here with that. They're trying to tell me how to entertain 400 people in NXT when I just entertained 6,000 in the stadium. I'm like, why are you trying to backtrack me? Because I already showcased what I can do in front of 6,000. Um, that's the end game tool, is it right? The end game is to get me there of what this product is. He questioned. Strickland believes his assertive nature rubbed people the wrong way, especially Triple H. The AEW star revealed he got along well with Shawn Michaels and felt his invaluable experience would take him to the next level, but he cannot get an audience with it. That was a mindset I had, and I was like, kind of too brash. It was too overthinking, and that's where I kind of clashed with Triple H. We didn't gel. I really gelled with Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels was the one. He said Shawn Michaels is the only one out of all those coaches that can really teach you how to be a top main event star. That's the only uh, that's the only one there. So I'm like, and that's who I need to get with. Why can't I get with him? Strickland was called up to the main roster in 2021, but his spell ended quickly as he was let go a few weeks later. See, this is what I'm saying. He thought he was more than he actually was, man. It was just like they want you to keep learning, so the things you get better and better. I mean, look at 2021. Okay, look at look at Damian Priest and look at Damian Priest and look at Bailey and that who were on the main roster at that point. You should be listening to them because I guarantee you, even Bailey would have been the first one to say, "Don't be saying that shit. Just take the advice." So it's like it's no surprise. It's not a surprise that they got rid of him, and and look at him looking at now in AEW. He keeps he's getting made to be embarrassed, and he's supposed to be a main eventer, but he really does not come across as a main eventer. And even Booker T said the same thing, and it's just true. So he's not going to be in front of a big crowd again. It's obvious, and AEW are not gonna get big crowds again. I mean that honeymoon's over. Um, so anyway, I'm going to get into some gaming news now. All right, so this is from Tech for Gamers, and Ubisoft apparently uh, says that digital games are just licenses amid ongoing lawsuit over the crew. Now, I will say this: that is true. Digital games you do not own, and basically, modern gamers need to understand that digital games you do not own them. But anyway, Ubisoft's The Crew series is home to over 40 million players, but fans were upset when the first game was forcibly removed from the libraries earlier last year. This led to a lawsuit from the fans, which pointed out to a potential violation of California's consumer protection laws. Nearly a year after the story took everyone by storm, Ubisoft's internal response to the lawsuit has surfaced as per the gaming giant's lawyers. It never led gamers to believe that their purchase was permanent. Well, the thing is, until before the California's and consumer protection laws, before that actually happened, they pretty much was trying to say to you, "Oh no, you do own digital games." They never ever said that you did not own did you did. They never said that you did not own digital games before the before the change happened. So obviously Ubisoft full of shit when it comes to that point. Digital libraries and ownership of games have become major talking points in the industry recently. This situation highlights exactly why many are so concerned about the future of game distribution. As per Polygon, Ubisoft lawyers stated that players have had no reason to believe that purchasing the crew granted them unfettered ownership rights in the game. Well, the thing is, you know what? You blame Ubisoft's practices, but also not just Ubisoft, but the um, across the gaming industry as well telling you that that you own digital games, because then they put that language out there. They never said not once before the change happened that you did not own them. They never said any of that whatsoever. So the thing is, I sort of can't blame gamers for believing that they did own them, because if you're not gonna outright say it, then why shouldn't they believe that? Anyway, they went on to say that Ubisoft had already clarified that the crew's purchase was a little more than a limited access license, nullifying the lawsuit's argument altogether. So the thing is, I mean, obviously the lawsuit ain't gonna end up going nowhere. Although the gamers later modified the lawsuit in response, Ubisoft's lawyers remained firm that the argument was rather weak. Nonetheless, everyone seems to have taken an interest in the stance regarding digital games. Of course, these words do not come from Ubisoft directly, but they represent the company's greater mindset. As far as the French gaming giant is concerned, digital game sales are akin to temporary licenses. Many may mistake for them for permanent ownership, but Ubisoft argues otherwise. The company has also warned audiences to become accustomed to not owning games in the past, further highlighting this mindset. The thing is, when Ubisoft says all this, right, they gotta understand when you put out shit like this, it's gonna put people off from wanting to buy digital games, especially yours. So if you're just gonna carry on like dissing gamers, it's like, just be careful of the audience of that you're dissing, because at the end of the day, your company is not doing too well at the moment. Your stock price is at its lowest since 2013. So just be careful of the language of that you put out. Anyway, I'm gonna get into the next piece of gaming news, and a next Sony exec says Nintendo has the right to charge $80 for Switch 2 games because of its exclusive games. Alright, more details for Switch 2 were finally revealed in the recent Nintendo Direct. While gamers were impressed with the successor's technical capabilities of the original, many were also upset with the exorbitant pricing for the handheld and the Mario Kart World exclusive. Amid the growing controversy against Nintendo, the former Sony exec has now stepped in to justify the new $80 price tag for Switch 2 games. He argues that Nintendo can set that price standard because those are its exclusives. The ex-Sony executive, it's Shawn Layden, by the way, argues that the new $80 price tag is justified for Switch 2 games if they are exclusives, because Switch consoles are the only official place where gamers can play them. During an episode of the Player Driven podcast, Shaw later defends Nintendo and says gamers should not be upset with the price hike. I don't know why the fuck he would say something like that. For that just comes off really fucking stupid. Because yeah, so Nintendo has a right to do that, but also gamers also have the right to not pay that price and not buy Switch 2 games at all, which is what should be happening, by the way. Send a message to the way how you send a message to Nintendo is vote with your wallet. You don't buy the Switch 2 whatsoever, and that'll make them change the pricing on their games. He believes that if you can only play Mario, Zelda, or Donkey Kong on Switch consoles because of exclusivity, then the $80 price is justified. Sean says that these exclusives being limited to Switch consoles should be enough to justify the $80 price. Nintendo recently offered a similar defense against the controversy by claiming it wants to respect the value of its releases. However, many gamers have disagreed with its justifications on social media and spoken against the $80 price of a Switch 2 exclusive, since it may compel other game developers to increase the price of their AAA games. I tell you this now, it ain't gonna be $80 across the board. It's gonna be way more than that. Just you wait until the Xbox's next console, and wait until the PS6. I'm gonna call it now. When it comes to the PS6 games are gonna be $100 or £100 per game. I'm calling it now. that's what's going to end up happening, because if enough stupid people pay $80 or £80 for Switch 2 games, it's going to put out the message to the gaming industry and corporations, or they're going to be like, you know what, they're complaining, but they're still buying this shit, so why not? And you can't really blame them for putting up raising the prices, because especially since gamers are that stupid, and they're not thinking, and they're not using common sense and thinking, hang on a minute, I got just as much power. I just don't have to. Buy the games. They can charge them as much as I want, but it doesn't mean to say I have to buy them. That's what I'm saying, man. You gotta use logic in this sense, because how many Switch 2 games are you going to be able to buy a year, especially if they're $80, especially if they're $80 each. You're not going to be able to buy that many, especially when it comes to Switch 2. I'm going to say this: there's not going to be that many Switch 2's sales when it comes to games, especially at those that price. There isn't going to be as many as they're going to hope. Anyway, the last piece of gaming news is it, you know what? This reminds me of Don Matrick. They say if you can't afford the Switch 2, a Nintendo exec suggests you stick with the Switch 1, which is a dumb thing to say. Doug Bowser said this apparently. Now the thing is, I'm going to say this, as even though it was a stupid thing to say, he was obviously ordered to say that by Nintendo or Japan, because since they are the ones in charge. Anyway, this is from PC Mag. If you can't afford the $450 Switch 2, don't expect much help from Nintendo. Our company executive is suggesting budget concession gamers simply settle for the first generation Switch. In an interview with Canada's CBC, Nintendo of America President Doug Bowser said the company recognizes that there are some people that may not be able to afford the Switch 2's price point. That's why we want to make the other Switch platforms available, so people still have an opportunity to come into our gaming universe, be a part of these characters in these worlds, and see value, if you will, in whatever rung of the platform they come in. It sounds like Bowser is trying to be sympathetic to those who can't swing a $450 console or $80 games. But there's a problem. A growing crop of Switch 2 games such as Mario Kart World, Donkey Kong Bonanza won't be offered on the Switch 1. Exactly. That's where their dumbass logic is flawed. Gamers are also comparing Bowser's comment to an infamous tone-deaf statement from former Microsoft executive Don Matrick. Now the thing is, when Don Matrick said it, the difference was Don Matrick was actually in charge of Xbox. Doug Bowser is an executive at Nintendo of America. He's in charge of Nintendo of America, but he's not the one in charge of Nintendo, because obviously he's got to answer to Nintendo of Japan, who are the ones that are really in charge. So that's where the difference is of, comparing what he said to what Don Matrick said. Anyway, but in the CBC interview, Bowser said the Switch 2's price is appropriate for the value on the machine and the gameplay experience overall. However, the company might need to raise the Switch 2 price. Today's Trump's tariff take effect, imposing a 46% tariff on goods from Vietnam and a 49% tariff of imports from Cambodia, the two counties where Nintendo make a bulk of its hardware. In response, Nintendo has halted pre-orders for the Switch 2 for both the US and Canada. Excuse me. Canada, as it assesses the tariff impact. The company is clearly capable of producing a cheaper Switch 2, as evidenced by the Japan-only console, which will only retail for $443. So perhaps Nintendo would consider a budget Switch 2 model, like it did with 2019 Switch Lite. In the meantime, gamers have bombarded Nintendo Switch 2 live streams with requests for lower prices, including games. You know what? None of that shit's gonna work. it's no point asking Nintendo to lower the prices because they're never going to do that, especially with the hardware. If they didn't do that with the Wii U, then why the hell would they do it with the Switch 2 for? They're not going to do that. The only way Nintendo are going to get the message is if you don't buy the hardware and you don't buy the games. That's it. And also Nintendo saying, "Oh, stick with the Switch one." Then, well, guess what? There's going to come to a point now where they're going to where support for the Switch one is going to get cut off. It's obvious that's what's going to happen. Their current future is the Switch 2, so it's obviously a stupid statement to make anyway. So I'm going to get into some movie news now. Um, right, the Minecraft movie film. Minecraft is not for me. I've never played it and I'm never going to. I'm not the audience for it personally, and obviously I'm not the audience for the Minecraft film. I obviously thought it was gonna be shit, and I proved and and I was right, but it still made a crap ton of money, and a Minecraft movie two, a sequel has pretty much been confirmed by Warner Brothers. That's no surprise, but a Minecraft movie. Sorry about Sorry about that. Minecraft movie continued a very popular trend of adapting video games to the small or big screen. Although the project which had been long in development came with initial reluctance from the critics and the industry, the adaptation proved to be a major hit. Um, a Minecraft movie adapts the popular adventure game of the same name, although the creators make sure to highlight that it's not the canon version. Instead, as its title suggests, the new movie tells one part of the bigger story created by Mojang Studios. In a new interview with Deadline, Warner Brothers co-chairman and CEOs Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi confirmed that there is a plan for Minecraft movie sequel. Now, Minecraft movie had the biggest opening weekend for a film in 2025, and it has already broken a series of records. It has also covered its initial investment and distribution and marketing costs. It's already making legendary Warner Brothers a profit. Now, the thing is, I'm gonna say this: the one game they could do, which is easy to do, and I would honestly say is more popular than Minecraft. Do Fortnite. Why not do Fortnite? And the fact that Fortnite, because it'll be easier to do Fortnite because since Fortnite has all these is able to get all these licenses to get all these characters, I think that would actually translate a lot better as a film. Honestly, even though I'm not the audience for it, I've never played Fortnite, and I wouldn't watch the Fortnite film. But I'm just saying it just makes sense if you're gonna do a Minecraft film, you might as well do a Fortnite film, to be honest, because especially since that's more popular. Even though live service games are going down in popularity, which I'm glad about, but I'm just saying. Anyway, I'm going to get into the next bit of movie news. Now, this is a rumor, but hang on. Um, Amid constant delays and growing frustration surrounding the Batman Part 2, the man who conceptualized DC's Batverse could be prepared to walk from the upcoming sequel. A new report claims Matt Reeves might leave the Batman sequel um, if it doesn't begin production later this year as scheduled. Per Hollywood scooper Jeff Snyder on the Hot Mic podcast, Reeves could move on from Part 2 if any more delays beset the second installment in his planned the Batman trilogy. There have been rumours that Reeves or someone close to him has been suffering health problems, causing Part 2 delays. Though Snyder wouldn't comment on Reeves' personal situation, he claimed that Helmer would leave his long in his will leave Batman Part 2 if filming doesn't begin this year like he planned. I think that situation I think that situation is still unresolved, and that's why things are still unresolved as far as the Batman. I'll put it this way. I think even though that situation may be unresolved, I will say that if a decision isn't made by the end of the year, if the movie doesn't get up and running by the end of the year, I do think Reeves will exit. I think it will be a hey, we got to move on. We got to move on here. It will be very sad at this point. People are understanding of the circumstances, but there's some frustration, and it's going to be we need to get on this with or without you soon. Since Part Two received its second long release delay last December, fans' worries have intensified regarding the film's status, wondering if it will ever see the light of day. Speculation of a disagreement between Reeves and Studios co-CEO James Gunn have been debunked. Other theories have suggested Warner Bros. Financial troubles may have had a hand in the delays. Um, and that's and like I said, if you follow Warner Brothers financial woes at the moment, and and you you're gonna know that half of these films are not gonna end up happening. Batman Two is not gonna end up happening. I don't think I don't think that's ever gonna happen. Or if it does happen, it's gonna go with another director. James Gunn's DC films, or which he wants to do, as far as his Gods and Monsters, I don't think it's gonna get past Toxic Avenger. I think Toxic Avenger will happen, but past that, I don't think so. Because I honestly think, as far as like the popularity of comic book films, I think they're seriously going down. I think the interest is pretty much gone, because that audience who was there, who were kids on when they were watching the Avengers films ever since the first one, now they're adults, and I don't think they was interested. I don't think they was interested anymore like they were before. It's just the interest is just not there. You just need to look at from since 2020 up until now, and that's all you need to know. Um, anyway, I'm gonna get into the last bit of um, movie news, and obviously for today. Um, Academy Awards to finally add long awaited Oscars category after years of demand. For many years, there have been calls for a stunt design category to be added at the Oscars. The move is finally becoming a reality, as it's been revealed that the first stunt design Oscar will be presented in 2028 for the 100th annual Academy Awards ceremony. Since the early days of cinema, stunt design has been an integral part of filmmaking, reads a joint statement announcing the new signed agreement. The news signed by Academy CEO Bill Kramer and President Janet Yang per Variety. We are proud to honour the innovative work of these technical and creative artists, and we congratulate them for their commitment and dedication in reaching this momentous occasion. There is still more planning to do, and it will take some time to get more details. The category rules for eligibility will not be announced until 2027 as part of the rules for um, the um, the 2020 Oscars. It also has yet to be determined if there will be a group of nominees for Academy members to vote on, or if a single winner will be announced. This will be discussed by the Board of Governors and Executives for the Academy at a later date to be decided. There have only been two stunt performers honoured in the past at the Oscars, as they were for honorary awards. Yakima Canute, who was honoured in 1966, while Hal Needham would be given an honorary Oscar in 2012. In more recent years, there have been increased calls for stunt design to be recognised more regularly at the Academy Awards. This was championed by filmmaker David Leitch, who helmed last year's The Fall Guy, a feature film starring Ryan Gosling as a stunt performer. Stunts are essential to every genre of film and rooted deep in our industry's history, from the groundbreaking work of early pioneers like Buster Keaton, Harold Lloyd, and Charlie Chaplin, to the aspiring artistry of today's stunt designers, coordinators, performers, and choreographers. Leach said in a new statement. This has been a long journey for so many of us. Chris O'Hara and I spent years working to bring this moment to life, standing on the shoulders of the stunt professionals who fought tirelessly for recognition over the decades. We are incredibly grateful. Thank you, Academy. I will say this. And also, John Wick franchise director and um, the John Wick franchise director pretty much was also urging the Academy to acknowledge stunt designs at the Oscars. He also shared a new statement to express how humbling it feels that this goal has finally become a reality. It's humbling, and we feel very honored to be honored where some of the best in the industry go. I think it's more. I think it's much more of an achievement. You're talking over 100 years of stunt performance. The department has been around since the very inception of films. It's very nice to see that the Academy has really heard the voices of the stunt committee. Not only did they come back with an award, I think they did a really interesting thing with giving a stunt design award as opposed to an individual performer, because our department is one of the most collaborative and intricate of all the departments. And I definitely will agree with that. And you know what, this took way too long for it to happen, but it's a good thing that um stunt coordinators are going to end up and getting the attention that they deserve, because the thing is, he is right. A lot of films, especially when it comes to action films or films that have action scenes in there. I mean, it takes them stunt coordinators are really important, and they do deserve the credit, not just as far as credits on the film at the end of the film, but I'm talking about like getting awarded for it and getting an award for it for all your hard work. You know what I mean? So, but honestly, this should have ended up happening. It should have never taken decades. It should have taken way earlier than that. I don't know what the hell the reason was on why it took this long for. But anyway, that's it for this episode of trying to make sense of the world. Episode 4. I'll do episode five next week. Please like, comment, subscribe, and follow me on my links on my YouTube bio. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.